and welcome to my review of Haikyuu chapter 255. Another really solid chapter. I might just talk about the ending for like the most part, so let me just like quickly go through the highlights of the chapter and then go straight to the ending, because that's definitely my most that's where I was the most excited, and it was where I just like, ooh, I need to talk about this. So we start off again exactly where we left off, with the quick Hinata and Kageyama's quick being blocked, and you have commentators and other people just being like, oh my god, it was stopped, and there's a discussion of whether or not this is gonna get Hinata down, because obviously this is his counter to not being super tall, so this is like the one move that he has that will always get through the blockers now that him and Kageyama figured out how to let Hinata control it and not use it all the time, so only use it at like the prime opportunities. And it like almost works every time, so for it to be blocked, which usually doesn't happen, that's quite a blow, especially this early in the game. Like usually if they are facing new opponents, it only gets blocked after a certain time, because as they talk about later in the chapter, usually people who are able to block it are people who have gotten used to it. So the middle blocker from Nekoma, whose name I've temporarily forgotten, and Kindaichi from Seijo, because obviously they've been against Karasuno 3 times now, so there are people who've gotten used to it, and Aone as well. But here you have people, they're in their first set, it's still in the middle of the set, like I don't think anyone has come to the 15-point mark yet. They might have by the end of the match, by the end of the chapter, but we'll see. I forgot. It's not that important. So it could be quite a blow to Hinata, but of course he's still super fired up. It's kind of like with the first Nekoma match, where they thought that, Karasuno just got beaten and their quick was stopped and all of that, and Hinata just looks super fired up after being beaten, and it's just like, one more time. It's kind of the same thing here with Hinata just being like, okay, they blocked it, what can we do to conquer that? What can we do to rise above the challenge of having them stop our quick this fast? Because Hinata's up for any challenge, that's the good thing about him. He's like, he doesn't let stuff like that get him down. So he's found a way to deal with the blockers, okay, but now the thing that he had, it doesn't work anymore, okay, so what can he do now? What can he do with the ability that he has to still get through the blockers, to still score points? That's the genius of Hinata. And the thing is, Kageyama is still so calm. They talk about this, both Kageyama and their coach. They're both ridiculously calm. Because usually their coach, he's like, if they're in a really tough spot, he's like super intense and just like, as they say, he's like sweating and silent and just like thinking about what to do next. But here he's like really calm, and we get the flashback to Kageyama saying it's just the same as always, because yeah, it is. It's no different than usual. Okay, one of their spikes was blocked. Fair enough, we just figure out what to do from here, because they have a lot of opportunities. The quick that Hinata and Kageyama can do is not their only attack. And Hinata still works perfectly as a decoy, which is his actual function in this team as of now. So, because Kageyama is still calm, he always tosses to the person he thinks has the highest chance of scoring a point, and if that point is blocked, well then, fair enough, we'll do better next time. Like, none of them are actually defeated by the fact that the twins can do their quick, or the fact that they can block their quick. Like, they're still rising to the challenge. And I really like how the commentators talk about Inarasaki as the perfect challengers, because they do things, like new things all the time. It's kind of like with Josenchi, who they're like the play team, so they when they saw Karasuno's synchronized attack, they tried that out. Inarasaki is a lot like that, but better coordinated. They are better at doing that. They're better at trying out new moves in a match. Possibly because they're like, their teamwork functions better than that of Josenchi, because Josenchi was a team that had just been put together 2 years, like they gotten a new coach 2 years ago, and they changed completely the way that they work stuff, and they're very an individualized team, because they had those 2-on-2 matches where like everything comes down to your own ability. Like, you can't really rely on anyone else. Where I feel like Inarasaki is a team that definitely, while they do have their individual talents and they have their the cheer squad and their serves that are really good, they also have a certain type of trust in each other and faith, especially between the twins. Even though they don't really like each other outside of the court, they played together for so long, and the whole team in general just seems like they're more in tune than Josenchi was. I don't think they're at the Seijo level yet, and I don't think they will be. I feel like Seijo and Nakama are like the epitome of teamwork in Haikyuu. So I feel like they won't get to that level yet, but they're definitely like the evolution of what Josenchi was supposed to be and what they could become in the future, because Josenchi was made up of second years and a few first years, I think, because their third years had graduated. The only third year they had left was the manager, so we'll probably see them again next year. Where they'll be a bigger challenge and probably be more like Inarasaki, but still in their more carefree way, I think. So I think this is possibly, this match here will help them deal with Josenchi when they meet them in the Inter-High or Nationals next time. But yeah, that was that little thing there. Now let's go to Tsukishima, because when my boy does things like that, I die a little bit inside because he's so perfect and awesome, and I just, because I said last time that Tsuki is definitely thinking something, and it makes a whole lot of sense that he would be the one to block their quick, because, again, everything about, was it Uke who was explaining it, the way that you have the people who are blocking Hinata and Kayama's quick are the people who've gotten used to it, the people who've seen it a lot of times before. So it would make sense that someone at Tsukishima who's like seen this every day, because they practice it every single day, and Tsuki obviously practices with this, but he's seen it every single day that they've trained together. And on top of that, he's not really on good terms with Kageyama and Hinata, like a bit with Hinata, but definitely not with Kageyama. And especially after their first match against each other, like in the beginning of the series, like the welcome introduction of the first years, Tsuki was slightly pissed that maybe not that he lost, but just that they had that weird advantage of having like that psychic connection where they could do that really weird quick, because that was the first instance we saw it. So the fact that he's just by the end, I've always wanted to stop that. It just spoke to my heart, because that was amazing. It shows that Tsuki has been, like, he's really been paying attention. And the fact, because he's never, I mean, he has been up against it. I'm sure they've had practice matches against each other. But not an official match. He's not been up in an official match against people who had this, quick. And I think this is the first time we see Tsuki on the front line when they use this quick. So the fact that he can just shut it down completely, I think that's great. Because you have, like, when they set up to do it, you have just all these panels of Tsuki, and then he just blocks it, and everyone's still like, oh, it's that first year Tsukishima K who blocked the Miya twins quick, and it's just like, I love that so much, because they seem to have such an upper hand with that quick. Like, it was not just that they had the quick, it was the fact that they could, like, take a blow at Hinata and Kageyama's spirit, even though it didn't work quite that well. It was still like, their move was no longer unique, and while maybe Hinata and Kageyama weren't like shaking too much, the rest of the team certainly were shocked by it. So to have that kind of, not backup plan, but to have the reassurance that even though the other team have your unique ability, then you have someone on your team who can handle it because they're familiar with it. You have a reliability like Tsukishima who can definitely handle it. And they can also take a page out of Seijo's book if they're smart, because they know all the ways that have been dealt with the quick. So they can, when they don't have Tsuki on the front anymore, they can just, instead of trying to block it, they can do the things that Seijo did in the second match. I believe they did it in the third match as well. Where they just, instead of blocking it, they just receive it, so they can see where the attack will be coming from, and they just get ready to receive it, and Nishinoya can be there, Daichi could be there. It would be really cool if Hinata could receive it because obviously it's his attack, so it'd be really cool to see Hinata's receives finally coming together here, and then for him to save that quick, to like stand up to the challenge that they've issued to him. I think that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, I'm definitely happy to see Tsukki here being that person that they can get to when they don't really know what to do, because again, we talked about this, the stars of this match should be Kageyama and Tanaka because of the setup we had with Mia and the setup we had with just with Tanaka before the match began, because he was all fired up and Tanaka hasn't really had his like actual time to shine. He's always there, he's always doing really cool stuff, but he's never had a match dedicated to him in the way that Tsukki has had the Shiro Torisawa match, or Chikara has had the Wakunan match and stuff like that. So it would be great to see Tanaka have a match for himself, which again, he might still be when the match is over, because obviously we're still halfway through the first set. He still might be like the centerpiece of it all. He might be the reason that they win. Especially because I think it's really weird that we haven't seen too much of him yet. I think we've seen him do like one thing, where he had like focus. But it's great to see that we begin off with other things than just the two people I expected us to focus on. So we have obviously some focus on Hinata. There's always, no matter who the prime focuses on, we always have focus on Hinata because he's the main character. But it's great to see that we've had the instances with Asahi last chapter, and this with Tsukki also setting up that Tsukki would do something last chapter and then him doing something really great in this chapter. And I'm sure we'll get to see some of the others being really, really cool, because this is definitely the hardest team they've had to overcome since Shiro Torisawa. Like, since then we only really had Tsubakihara, and then we had Tateko in the their practice match, and then of course they've had their separate training camps where they did different things, but Inarasaki is definitely a team that really issues a challenge in a way that Tsubakihara and Tateko really didn't, because in Tateko's case, they met them before, so they know what they're about, and Tateko is also still trying to find like their groove. They're still pulling their team together after having lost their third years and just generally trying out new things with Koganegawa and just, yeah, having that team together. So Inarasaki, who is a team who definitely have their shit together, they are a challenge. And for Karasuno to just not falter in the face of that challenge, even though Inarasaki are known as the best challengers or whatever they're called, I think that's really great. It speaks to the level of confidence that they've grown over the years, because you've seen both in the Shiro Torizawa match and Seijo matches, and other snippets where they've, one or more of them have been like, shit, what the hell do we do now? We can't see how to win this match, especially against, we've had really strong instances against Shiro Torizawa. I meant to say Seijo there, but then with the Shiro Torizawa match you have like that, that one really great scene where you see Hinata and Tsukki feeling completely crushed by Ushiwaka. I always thought that scene was really great, and also the one where they you have the court and then it's like displayed as if everything around the court is just crumbling, like this is the last stand kind of. Everything about Shiro Torizawa match is just really great. It's just the imagery used in that is just really good, because it shows Karasuno kind of like at the edge, and like they were so close to losing, but they didn't, because in my opinion Shiro Torizawa is still the stronger team of the two, and I think a lot of people will agree with me in that, but Karasuno just has that will to push forward and to always take up the challenge. That's something they've grown into, especially the third years who've come from this really difficult situation, where they were just, the team that they originally came from was just not strong and not at all motivated to actually win stuff, because the third years of now are definitely the ones that have shaped the team the way that they are. So it's just really great to see that all their labor and just hard work has worked off in the way that it's given them not only ability and skill, but also confidence and just the will to power through anything. So even if their secret attack has been copied and cannot be used by other people, they're not feeling like they'll lose because they still have weapons to use against. They feel like they can rise up to the challenge because they've done it so many times. They beat Seijo when no one thought they would. They beat Shiro Toizawa when no one thought they would. So they can beat Inarasaki when no one think they will. So yeah, I really liked everything about this chapter, especially the ending. It was really, really good. And I say that about every single Haikyuu chapter, but Haikyuu is just, it's ridiculously good. I don't even know how to describe what I feel about Haikyuu sometimes. It's because it's such a simple concept. It's just a sports manga. But just generally I have like a soft spot for sports, and I feel like a lot of people have as well, because it's so nice and calming, yet it's so intense, and it has great characters. I've talked about this before, how you can't have a good sports manga or sports anime if you don't have great characters. It's why Yuri on Ice, Kuroko no Basket, Haikyuu, other great sports anime / manga. It's why there's such great successes. It's because the characters make the show so great. So yeah, I'm gonna stop talking. But yeah, I really enjoyed this chapter, and I hope you guys did as well. I feel like Tsukishima fans are definitely gonna join this more than everyone else. But I feel like even the people who didn't like Tsukishima in the beginning are definitely coming around to him after the Shiro Torizawa match, and after he's just generally become more likable. I mean, I've always liked him, but even I can see that he's become more likable as a character. So yeah, definitely think this is great, especially for Tsuki fans like me. And just, yeah, really great chapter. So if you like anything that I have to say, you can leave a thumbs up on the video. Leave in the comments below what you thought of this chapter and just what you think that this means for the future of this match, because I feel like with everything, it's just really great to see that Karasuno has grown to this extent that he have, with opponents that should seem really scary and strong. And you can subscribe if you want to see more. Obviously I really enjoy doing my Haikyuu reviews, so yeah, you can subscribe if you want to see more of those, because yeah, I really like discussing Haikyuu with people. I think that's like one of the series that I like discussing the most, because it's so calm and there are no wars, I feel like, especially because we're not gonna get into the shipping. We all know this is a ship-free channel, so there's nothing to fight about. So yeah, you can subscribe, and until next time, bye.